Dawn, if you don't mind watching the waiting room
Oh,
in
sure.
case
I can
people
do that.
join,
Yep.
excellent. We'll go ahead and get going because I have packed this time together in, and I want to go ahead and jump in. I'm anticipating we'll have others join, but we are also recording this. This is our first of this event, which we will do each month, and it is focused on this developing what we're calling a social network map or an impact network map. And what we anticipate doing is events like this every month where we'll always have a beginning to it that is an orientation to the map because there's always going to be somebody new joining us. But then we're going to give some insights from the map and have people engage with the map and then go into breakouts and have some dialogue about what are they seeing in the map, what would they like to see in the map, and really giving some feedback on this. So you're part of this very first gathering, and I appreciate that you're here. I'm curious, Jennifer, Marlene, Daniel, do you know each other?
Um, I've met with Marlene before in some of the breakout sessions.
Awesome.
Then Jennifer and I have connected on LinkedIn and exchanged messages. And maybe we've been in a breakout session. I'm not 100% certain though.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think
Great.
I know Marlene and I have been in a
Okay.
breakout session before.
Good, good. So not
Yeah.
totally not or unaware of each other, but maybe not to that degree of actually collaborating and working together yet. All right, good. Well, that's our hope with this map is that we start to generate some of the connectedness and of course that we start to develop the generative discussions or interactions as well as collaborations. So, our time together, let me orient you to what we're going to do. We're going to look at the map, but before that, I'll orient a little bit to the why behind this event and the map. I will, of course, orient you to the map and offer some insights. And then we're going to show you how to get into the map and make sure that you have that link and that you can get in there and play with it, explore, update your profile and your connections. And then if it's just the five of us, we won't go into breakouts. If others do join us and it's more than probably eight, then we'll break out so that we can have discussions. Otherwise, we'll just talk together about it. The purpose. So, for anyone who's new to the network, the purpose of this event is to introduce them to this map that we're creating and how to use it, how to get in and engage with it. For those who are already familiar with the map, it's an opportunity for them to gain fresh insight because as it continuously grows and we add more content and people and other avenues in regards to how we're going to use it, you're going to be able to see how it changes over time. And we're going to want to make sure that you are constantly engaging with it because that's how you're going to get the best value and benefit from the map. And of course, the other goal of these meetings and the map is to build new connections with fellow members as well as find ways to collaborate with others. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. So showing the mission and vision and purpose of HRC. So just as an FYI, we are now an official business. We formed as an LLC on November 19th. So we have flipped that switch and we feel really strong this year. We built the backbones of who we are, and what it is that we're focusing on. And so we're really excited about that. And at HRC, really our focus, what we believe in, is connecting purpose driven individuals and organizations in order to drive that transformative change, or as of course we talk about it, the reinvention of healthcare. This map is one piece. It's not the full effort. Having events like this is a component, leading projects, which we'll be starting to step into in 2025, as well as the digital platform. Those are all pieces of how we're going to do this or seek and serve our mission to identify, connect, support, and illuminate every healthcare changemaker. So whether you're looking for collaborations with others, so you're trying to find others, or maybe you're looking for resources or other forms of inspiration, our goal is that this map will be a very useful tool. So now I'm going to show you the map and orient you to it. And initially, and I'm sorry if any of this Zoom stuff that's on my screen is in your way, and I can't get this, there we go. So it's difficult to see what's here now, but I'm going to just orient you to the map first, and then we're going to look at different components. So this map shows people and their connections, and I'll show you a little bit more about that in a moment. But along the side, and I don't know if you saw me do this, but there's 3 dots here. And if you close those and open those, you can get this. And over here right now, we're calling this our MVP. It's a minimally viable product. And we very intentionally haven't put too much into this yet, because what we want to ensure is the work and the effort that we put into the creation of this tool is guided by the members who are going to use it. We want to ensure that what we create actually seeks and serves what you need. So at this stage, along the side, all it's really showing you is the different views that have been created. And I'm going to talk about these views in a moment. On the other side, and I'm going to have to minimize some of this stuff. I don't know if it's taking up room on your screen. But on this other side over here, you'll see that there are different navigation tools. And so if you click on the plus, you can bring it in. If you click on the negative, you can bring it out. And when you click on this, it zooms to fit. So it makes sure anything that's actually a node or a connection can be seen on your screen. So if you had gone really big, then you could hit zoom to fit to get it all onto one screen. The settings you're not going to play too much with, but you can always go in there and look at that. And that's going to tell you a little bit about how this has been built. I don't anticipate that you're going to get into that. If you're interested in that, I'm happy to give you more insights. But one of the things I want to show you is when you click on board, you can move it around. So that's a click and drag. And when you center on a face, and let me see here, let's see if we can find one of you out here, and I'll center in on you. There's a lot of face. Here's Marlene. So when I click on Marlene, I get her profile information. So Marlene, you've come in here and you've entered some content. That's fabulous. So you can see some of the information that Marlene has added to her profile. And because we've clicked on Marlene, if we hit this that now has shown, you can focus on Marlene. So what that does, it's focusing on those individuals that she has said she's connected with or who have said they're connected with her. And so that clears all the clutter, and Marlene can get a really good insight to those individuals that are focused on her connection. Now, she might look here and say, I'm not seeing Dan, though I know him. So I might want to update my connection to him. And I'm also looking here, I don't see Jennifer, though I do see Dawn. So when we go into time for you to update your profile, you might want to go in there and make those connections, because you just told me that you are at least aware of each other, if not have had some engagement with each other in the past. So that's just a quick orientation to the map. But what I want to do is show you some insights from the map. So where is this really valuable? So I'm going to clear the focus. If you see when I click on this, now I can clear and go back to that whole screen. I'm going to X out here so I remove Marlene's profile. And let me first go through these views. I skipped that piece. The view that we're looking at right now is people and connections. So this is all of the people who are currently connected with HRC. They're on our platform either as, and when you look at the segment here, you can see that they're either a member of the platform, they might be part of the newly launched public space on the platform, or they might be a member of the core team or an advisor. So these are individuals who they're currently working on HRC, or they have helped us get to this stage. And then we have this special group that's been with me from way before HRC was developed. And so those are I call them the founding members. They're part of PXC. So you could click on any of those. But when we click on areas of focus, and I'm skipping geo, I'll click on it, but you'll see that it is broken right now. And I don't know why. I need to go out to support, but it's one of my favorite features and it's broken, which is very frustrated. But if we go to areas of focus, this content is pulling from people's information they entered in the profile. And so you have a filter here, and you can filter on what they may have identified as an area of focus for themselves. So I'm going to click on primary care for all. And we'll see that there's a number of people who have identified that as an area of focus. So now if that were a focus of yours, you have on the screen those that you could reach out to. So you might pick on Lisa, and she hasn't put anything in her profile, but Dawn has, so you can get to know Dawn. You could reach out to her on her LinkedIn. You could send her an email. You could start to engage with people because you know that they're aware or interested in a topic that you have a specialized interest in. And so that's the value of that view. Again, these are just samples that we've put out here at this stage to kind of show you what can be done. And then we'll want to ask you, what should we do? But what I've done is I've actually created a specialized view just about today. And what I did is I'm able to filter on all of those who registered on the platform that they were going to join us or they might join us. And so my hope was all of these individuals would join us. However, we've got a few of you with us. And so I'm going to show you some insights that are gleaned from this view. So what I'm going to show you is how you can know who you or somebody else is connected with really easily. And you probably saw that briefly when I highlighted on somebody. So if I hover over somebody's face or profile, you'll see that everything else grays out. So at this time, Athena hasn't come out here and made connections, but I have to Athena. And so this is a connection thread. If I click on that thread, you'll see here that I identified my connection to Athena. If I hover on my profile, you'll see nobody grays out, not because I know all of these people in one way or another. But Marlene, I'm going to hover on you, and you'll see that this is showing those that you've said you're connected with, or they may have said that they're connected with you. But there are others on here that you're not yet connected with. But I'm going to center in on mine, and because I know I'm connected with everyone, I'm going to focus this so that we have a little bit of it gives you this, puts me in the center and it focuses people around, but it gives you the ability to kind of see those connections with a little bit more clarity. So what I can see here is different colored lines, and I want to orient you to what those lines mean. So right now I showed you with the one with Athena, if you click on a line, it's going to tell you who identified who at what level of awareness of them or collaboration with them. So green lines mean that there's a collaboration, and that also aligns with the number 4. If I go down here, and you're going to get to play with this as well, if I hit this filter, which is called connection type, and I hit collaborator, it's going to remove anybody who has not been identified as a collaborator relationship. If I add in awareness of work, then you'll see that Mindy and I, and what I'm interested in is when I go all, you'll see that Mindy and I have different levels of relationship identified. Let me clear that up. Yeah, it's this one there. So there we go. So you can see that I have said that Mindy and I have a generative interaction relationship. We've done things, had really great conversations, but Mindy has come in here and said she's aware of me. So she might, if she were to see that, want to update her connection with me because she would agree that we're more than just aware of each other. But that's where you can see some insights in regards to, is there a mutual relationship identified? And is there agreement in regards to the weight or the nature of that relationship? But the other thing you can do here is you might be really interested to know, I'm going to clear them all. And so I'm really curious about who's collaborating with each other. And what we're hoping is we're going to start to get to that phase where there's projects out here and you'll be able to identify what are they working on together. And thus you might learn more about them and their relationship, their collaborative relationships, but you also might be able to say, hey, I'm really interested in what they're doing and reach out to them. So that's a little insight about what is going on this map and some of what we're hoping to create. I'm going to clear the focus because one more insight I want to show you is one where, Jennifer, I'm going to hover over your face. And what that's going to do is it's going to show that when I do so, you're connected to Dawn, you're connected to me, and Dawn and I are connected. That is a closed triangle. The three of us know each other. When I hover over Dan, you'll see that right now, all this is showing is that Dan and I are connected, but there isn't a closed relationship between Jennifer and Dan or between Dan and Marlene, meaning there's an open triangle there. So I would have the opportunity to say, golly, I think Dan and Jennifer would really like to know each other. And I might send an introduction out to say, hey, I know both of you. Here's how I know of you, and here's why I think the two of you would want to know each other. And ideally, that would then have you coming in here and changing your connection because you've made that connection, and now we're going to have that closed loop. So this map helps us to identify. If I'm looking at this, I might say, golly, of this connection, I know so-and-so and so-and-so would really like to know about each other or collaborate with each other. And I can help to close some of those triangles. I'm going to pause for a second and ask if there's any questions thus far. I'm trying to find my ability.
Where do you access the map? I don't see it.
Yep, I'm going to show you that in just a second. That's
Okay.
great. I'm glad you asked that. So Dan, yes, that's where I'm going next, is I'm going to show you how to access this and then how to update your bio, your profile, and your connections. Hey, Rosanna, and Gabe's here too. Yay. See, now I can see who else has joined us. Wonderful. Any other questions before I go to that next stage?
Yeah, I also noticed that like on my screen, I have a picture, with my profile, but it doesn't show. I wonder if I need to log out and log back in or something. I'm not sure, but I did notice that as well. So I just have
You're
a circle.
okay. So when you say on your screen, when you're viewing what I'm showing you, or
The like your member profile, where you're logged in, the upper right hand corner.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So,
yes. And that, Dan, that's a really good point because this is a separate tool from the
ah,
HRC digital platform. I'm glad you mentioned that.
okay, that's why I don't see the map.
Yes, yes, yes. So at this stage, again, a minimally viable product, those two tools are unfortunately not connected. Our
Gotcha.
goal is as we work with this more, we find a way to get integrated so that you'll have the one place to go and you don't have to update a profile in one place and in another place. Yeah, good. Great questions. Any other questions before I go to the next step? Okay, so let me share my screen again. All right, so I'm going to show you, or I'm going to give you a link. So I'm going to grab this link and hopefully I can. So in the chat, I'm going to drop a link. Let me know if you can't get to it. It looks like it dropped properly. And so when you click on that link, you'll get to what I'm showing on the screen right now. So if you enter your email, and this will be the email that you also use when you sign into the digital platform. So if you enter your email and hit send me my link, then in your email, you will get a message from no reply at someapp.net. And so then from there, you'll have a link to get into this map. Is everybody there? Let me know if not. And so when you're here, so on my screen, I'm seeing hello, Denise, but you should see hello, Rosanna, Daniel, Marlene. Your name should be showing. And when you scroll down, you'll see that you can put a picture. So if you don't have a picture yet, it's going to have some image here. It's black and white. But when you upload a picture, then you'll have your photo attached. And then you can give a short 140 characters or less here. And that gives just that brief profile awareness of who you are. And then you'd hit proceed. When you proceed, the next place you come to is profile. So there's quite a few fields you can enter in here. None of them are a must enter. So you can pass by this without entering anything, or you can give us some insights. This information is what's going to show when I click on your face in the map. It's going to show on that left-hand side. So the more you enter in there, the more insights you're giving people about who you are. But you can add your email, your LinkedIn profile. I also have your HRC profile URL that you can add there. And if you don't know how to grab that, I can help you with that. But that would help somebody get into the HRC digital space and find you there. When the GeoMap works properly, your postal code will put you on the map. So this is a useful piece to add in there. And I wish I could demo that for you today. And then you can put in other information. That one filter that I showed you, where your interests might be, that's where this comes from. And you can pick as many of these as you would like. But that would give that filter the ability to show you who else might be interested in these topics that are of special interest to you. And if you enter in other areas of interest, we can add them to this list so that we can grow that. So whatever's missing here, let us know. And then there's other information that you can enter in. And when you're done, hit Save My Answers, and you'd go to Connections. So when you go to Connections, this is where you're going to get those lines with other people. I'm going to show you a couple things here. So of course, I'm logged in as me, so my tile would be grayed out. I'm connected to myself. I can't get any more connected to me. But there are others who I may or may not be connected with. I'll let you know that at this stage, our membership, our platform or HRC membership is over 200 people. So there are more than 200 people listed here. The first time you go through, it might feel like you're going and going and going to find people to add your connections, which I'm going to show how to do that in just a moment. But there are other ways that you can filter this so that when you come back to update, you don't have to scroll and scroll and scroll. So if you were going through today, going through all those 200 names to identify who you're connected with, when you come back, if you hit the recent button, it's going to give you just those people who have been recently added to this map. So that would be far fewer people to scroll through. Now, maybe you're going out here and you're trying to, Dan, you want to identify that you're connected to Marlene and you're connected to Jennifer, and you want to just go to them. If you go to the search and you typed in Marlene's name, you could go right there and be able to pull her up. And now this is how you do that connection. So you'll see my screen, I've identified Marlene as an acquaintance, and you might do that, or maybe you've had a generative interaction. What you're going to see is if you click a second box, it says you can only have one. So you just simply unclick the other one. And then you hit save. And then to get back to everybody, of course, you clear out that search box, and now you can see everyone. The other thing you can do for filtering is you can filter by name. And you'll see when I first hit that, it's going Z to A. You could hit this back and go A to Z. And so that's how you make your connections. And when you're done, hit finish. And then this final tab out here is the map. And so now you can come out to the map and you can start to play with some of the different views that we have. You can identify how it looks to you. You can click in on, maybe you want to know a little bit more about Gabe. So you click on his node here, his face, and now you see his profile. Maybe you want to know a little bit more about his connections. So you focus in so you can see just his connections. But that's how you can get into this and update your information and then start to play with what are you seeing out here. So I'm going to stop sharing so I can see all of you. I'm going to ask for questions, and then we're going to give you some time to play in the map so you can get out there and update your profile and add your connections. But any questions before we have a little bit of time to do that?
Denise, I have a question. How do I find my HRC profile URL?
Yes, let me share my screen and I'll show you that. So when you're in HRC, if you are out here, so if I bring up somebody's profile, I'm going to find you. It helps if I spell your name right. It's thinking. So I'm going to pick on Dan to show this here is his profile URL. And so when you're in for yourself and you click on, I think when you click here, let me see. Yeah. So when you click on, so when you're in your profile here, so if you're click here into your name, that's going to be your profile URL.
Let me try that.
All right. My alarm went off. Gabe, I know you're going to have to run. What was your question or insight?
Well, actually, I was going to try and answer the things that you asked, like sort of the things that I like and things that I want from the map. So the things that I love is I think like just having a prototype like this going is really great, like something that shows potential and connections. And I mean, because of our previous conversations, I think from like the Impact Networks book and some of the others, like Connecting to Change the World, I think like doing this mapping is just such an important and cool thing. So I love seeing a prototype, and I love that it's something interactive that we can kind of play with and interact with. I think the thing I wrote down a couple things that I wanted. One is I think that most of us are going to want a little bit more guidance, like maybe even in the beginning, like someone to walk us through the map personally, like, hey, here's you in this map. Here are some insights or ways you might get benefit from it or add value to the map. So I think it might be kind of like a high human support initiative in the beginning.
Mhm.
I also thought a web page that shows a little bit of the map and some insights from the map and some evolutions of the map over time so that we can share that with each other and with the outside world
Love that.
be something I'd like. And then I'd also like a way to, and this maybe ties into the guide, like a way to prioritize connections and next steps. So like I'm looking at the map and my connections, and the first thing I'm like, I know there's people on here that I should get to know, but I kind of don't know where to start.
Mhm.
And it's just not clear to me. Like there, I could sort of on my own try and come up with some process of like this connection looks interesting because of the map or not, but I feel like a little bit lost for like how to prioritize.
Mhm.
That's what I got.
That's great insight, Gabe. Thank you so much. So what I want to do real quick is to show a few things, and then I want to open it up for others to answer just as Gabe has done. So what I think is really cool is when I go to the map now, and what I've done is I did a pre-event, what does the map look like? So that we can now look at what does the map look like now. So if I click on Dan and I look, so you can see pre-event, what his connections look like and what it looks like now. And if we look at Gabe, and let's see if his have changed. And so you can see how that has changed. And that's our goal, is over time to be able to see how things change. And of course, to what Gabe identified, how do we make this not just fun to look at and see this information, but really valuable and useful in how we're getting information. So I'll stop sharing. But so I've got those pre-images and the post images. And yes, one of the things that we want to be able to do is to show this, have it linkable from our HRC platform as well as in our website, to be able to show what it is we're creating and why it's valuable. And so that's where stepping into those questions now to you is of benefit to us as we're trying to create a tool that will be valuable to you. What about a map of this nature appeals to you and could be valuable? And what is missing right now that you wish it had? Just love to open this up for a conversation.
So in adding people to the networks, and I created my profile, right? So you suggest like to really there's so many, right? So you suggested you're just going through scrolling through pages right at this point. Is that right? Like of people, because like there's no way to like, is there a way to filter by like I want to know anybody who has like the word data, in their profile? Like, is there a way that, because I tried typing in a couple words and nothing came up. So I wasn't sure how to best search and look for connections.
Yes, there is a search feature. And of course, the search feature works best if individuals' profiles have that information within. So if they haven't updated their profiles or they haven't used those words, it's not going to show for you. But Rosanna, that's actually one of those items that we might want to put into the list. You're very interested in data and how do we make that data insightful and more easy to use, more valuable. And so that might be one of those drop-down items that we want to add so that you can then filter on those individuals who have also identified that in their profile. But to what you said, the greatest value is going to come from people entering information in the profile, which of course means how do we, because we can add and delete things from that list of profile content for you to add. So what are the most valuable things for us to ask people to enter into their profile?
That's interesting. So if they have entered the profile, though, it is savvy enough to be able to pick out profiles where those words are used, is what you're saying. So it will actually look for that. Okay.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So I'll just try some different search terms. And I did add like my area of interest would be data communication data, specifically with the data storytelling.
Yeah. Excellent.
This is such a great resource. I apologize for being late in getting finally around to developing the profile. It's been on my back burner, but not because it's not important. And so that's one reason I came here, is get a refresher, because I also couldn't find the map initially. And so I'm like, I know it's here. So I'm glad that you went through that. But it does seem initially a little overwhelming just because there are so many circles, but I get that it is a work in progress. So I'll be patient.
Yeah. And Rosanna, I like that you said that, because one of the nice things is we can create however many views we want to. So if there is a view that is easiest for you, then we can have that view created so that you come right into that. And it would decrease or could decrease the clutter, but you'd also have the ability to go to the full map. But that might be good as well, as how do we create views that help individuals get the best access and less overwhelm from all of the information that we could have in this map.
Denise, I wonder if there's an opportunity, if somebody's working on a project that they're looking for collaboration, could that be an area, that
So
could be put in there?
yes. So one of the things that Dawn and I talk about is that individuals being able to say, here's what I'm looking for, what I'm hoping somebody might have, a skill set, knowledge base, whatever it may be. And here's what I can give. So that means that they could also be looking at, I'm looking for this, and who's out there saying they can give it. Is that what you meant, Marlene?
Yes,
Excellent.
yep,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's not there right now?
It's not yet,
Okay.
but we're looking to create it. Yes. I wonder if we were to ask that question, because here's the challenge. It'll be an open text question because what anybody might ask could vary greatly, right? And so then how to create that filter is where I'm playing with right now, how best to create that.
Like collaboration requests?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Cool.
Yeah.
That was my word of the day. 2 words of the day. Cool.
Now, one of the pieces we're wanting to add into this is organizations, because we want to be that network of networks. So, for instance, Gabe's on the call here. So, if I was thinking about Medicine Forward, and Medicine Forward as an organization could have a node out here, and you could get to know a little bit more about Medicine Forward. And if you clicked on Medicine Forward, you might then be able to see who the people are who are connected to Medicine Forward. Can you see value in a map that enables that?
Yes, definitely.
What else? I know some of this might be brand new to you, but if you were thinking about a tool that could help you find people easier that are connected with organizations, other people, experience, or other, what would be of greatest use to you in here? Gabe, I see your hands up. Oops.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was just playing with the views and I'm looking at the geographic view right now. If anybody hasn't looked at that, I think that's actually like already potentially an interesting thing because I'm noticing there's a lot of us in the Northwest and like I hadn't quite realized that there's quite a few people that I virtually know who are sort of Northwest natives. And it makes me wonder about like planning some kind of a Northwest meetup. And I, thinking about like if you when you look at the geography, like are there people who might not be super far away from you that you might like to interact with? So I just was going to share that.
Well, I love hearing that the GeoView is working for you because it's not for me, which must be part of my computer technical issue that I'm having today. Because yes, that's one of my favorite features is to be able to see if somebody put in their postal, their zip code.
I mean, there's quite a few people who are off the west coast of Africa in the ocean, but
That's because if they haven't put in their postal, they're out there swimming.
I was going to say, I can see it. I can see the
Awesome.
geographic view too.
Yay.
So,
I was so bummed when I couldn't get to it today. Good, good. Fantastic. And you'll see that we do have somebody connected in Ireland, somebody part of HRC, which is cool. Yeah.
I guess, is there any way to add a link to this to the current HRC platform until we're able to get them both connected?
Yes.
Like a pinned post or something, I guess, for lack of a.
Yes. Yes, there is. And there's currently a post in the platform that talks through what the map is, and it has a link there so that you could click on that and add your email if need be, if you don't have that bookmarked. However, there must be a better way that I can do that so it's readily, easily found. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'll do so.
Yeah, I don't know if someone already said this, but with the Geo, it is working for me as well.
Good.
But when like if I want to like there's 3 of us that are in a pretty close area here near Dallas, but in order for me to be able to differentiate the names, I have to just zoom in until they're not superimposed. So if there was a way that you could hover over the names and see the different names rather than having to hover completely or zoom completely.
Yeah, Danielle, I definitely can do that. We can add that node so that you could click on and get their profile off to the side. Yeah. Oops, Rosanna, there you go.
Actually, I have a question.
Excellent.
I don't understand. I guess I was just playing with it. I don't understand the area of focus view. When I hit on that, I couldn't really, like only a couple people came up. And when I tried to change it, I really couldn't see anything different.
Yeah, so let me share my screen and walk me through what you're seeing. So if I go to area of focus.
Do you want me to share mine?
Yeah, let me try one more time and then,
Okay.
yeah, mine is not, my computer is having trouble. So yes, would you show yours?
Yeah.
And while you guys are doing that, I have a suggestion about this areas of focus because when I was filling out the questionnaire, I think like this sort of went through my mind of like there's a difference to me between interests and focus. So like it says your interest and then it says your focus. Like there's a lot of stuff I'm interested in, but I'm not actively really doing anything about it. Like health literacy, for example. Like that was an easier one for me to not opt into. But some of these like primary care for everyone, like I think that's absolutely important. And I'm really not doing anything actively other than I'm on a mailing list with primary care for all Americans. Like so it doesn't feel like a focus. And I guess when I think about like getting value out of this map, like I'd like to know the other people who are really passionate about the same things as me. So I'm like the one that's like AI and other technology
Yeah.
definitely gets me jazzed. And so like I'm actually much more curious about the other people that said yes to that than like so I guess I just am calling that out as we're trying to think about how to make it valuable is like you may be interested in a lot of stuff, but like your true sort of thing that you're working on the most, like it'd be nice
Yeah.
to have that separated.
Yeah. I like that, Gabe. Thank you. Dawn, to what you were going to do here, if you'll see on the left-hand side, can you X out of your profile? And that gives you this view. Can you hit areas of focus? Good. And now if you'll hit where you can center it, where the zoom, the plus, the negative, and then the arrows, hit the arrows. Okay, so here's everybody's node. And now the filter there where it says your healthcare reinvention interests. Do you see that? It's up above where the circle, yeah. And let's just pick on one of those. Okay, and now if you click the screen, it'll make that go away. Yep. And you can hit again those two arrows to make this, yeah. And so now we can see those people a little bit better. So Rosanna, at this stage, all I did here was put a filter so we could say, okay, of what they answered, here's the same people who answered that or checked that. It doesn't give you much else here other than the ability to click on their image and get their profile. If you wanted to clear this and go to another view, if you went to again to that filter, Dawn, over in the left-hand upper where it says controlled right. So now you could click on another. You would have to unclick the controlled drug costs if you didn't also want that. And so that's all this filter can do right now. Again, it's a minimally viable. It's just kind of showing a little bit about what we could do. But what would be the most valuable if we're filtering in this way? Marlene,
Thank you. That was a really helpful demonstration for me.
good.
Thank you very much.
Oh, yes. Thanks for asking the question. Marlene, I see your hands up.
Yeah, so I saw my my image there for controlling costs. And while I find it's very important and I'm interested in it, I have no influence on that right now or key action. So it makes me think I should take that off for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's good. And I think what Gabe has identified is that question isn't worded well, right? So what would be of greater value for us to put there? And it may be, what is it? I don't know. How would you say it? What are you currently working on? Or yeah, Dawn.
Maybe it's about, what you're interested in working on and what you're working on, something to that effect. What are you actively working on? What are you interested in working on? What are you just interested in learning more about? Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense, Gabe? When you were thinking about that, I'm trying to think if you had some categories there.
Yeah, no, I
thanks.
think that's right. I think if you said like what am I actively working on and just some clarity, like a little intro paragraph of like, we really want to connect you with other people that there's a high chance that like you have a lot of shared interest and it's not just like, yeah, we're all in healthcare. So you could say like all the things.
Yeah. So let me ask you this question, because what you can also see in this view is I didn't put connection lines, but we can bring that in. Would that be helpful? If we're filtering by a topic, would it also be useful on this screen to know who's connected? I'm seeing head nods. Yeah. Yeah. Good.
I think it would be helpful to see who was connected within this interest because particularly because then you can see maybe you want to make a connection to somebody, but you know somebody else a little bit better. Maybe you could like, I don't know, just you're thinking like, I want to make a connection, but I don't want to just be a cold call. I don't know. Maybe you just want to see that there's a mutual interest or a connection there. I can see that being beneficial on the screen or to see how they were connected. But with all that said, I still think this is actually a great resource I think Gabe created or noted a really good distinction of those interests. I think now that I've seen that too, and to Marlene's point, I think I noted a couple of things where I'm very interested in, but I wouldn't want somebody to reach out to me about it because I don't have expertise in that area as I do other areas for sure.
Yeah. Excellent. So minimally viable product. We will be continuously working on this year. The other component to this is we're currently using a tool called SumApp connected to another tool called Kumu. Kumu does the visualization, SumApp collects the information. We're exploring other tools that we can use. So we selected these. Thanks, Rosanna. I see you have to go. Thanks for joining us. We selected those tools to use because they have free or low cost ability just to play with it. So we could say, okay, if we create a minimally viable and people identify there is interest in this, then we could go down the path of some of the other solutions that are out there that I'm highly interested in that might give us more functionality. More importantly, to how do we help people get connected? And there's a couple tools out there that are going another level that SumApp and Kumu is not doing yet, which I'm very interested in exploring.
I'm gonna have to run, like I said, but I actually would love to share my screen because I kind of came up with this like interesting view while we were doing this.
Excellent.
That I thought you guys might want to look at.
Awesome.
So I have to share my screen.
Yep, you should have the ability, do you?
Sure. Okay. So this what we're looking at here. I can't get you guys out of covering up my stuff. So what's funny?
I'm not seeing it yet.
I don't
Is it just
see
me?
anything.
Okay.
No, I don't either.
I don't. There.
There it is. Got it.
Share.
Ooh, what'd you do?
Yeah. Well, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So what I did is I just started dragging people around that had a lot of connections, and the people that had the most folks kind of attached to them, I just started dragging them to, like, here's you, me dragging around towards the outside. And it just started to realize, like, I think, these people are probably some of like the early network weavers or network leaders because they have a lot more connections. And it just was like an interesting way to see that. So I just started picking a person and like hauling them around and seeing like what happened, and identified that there were these folks like that had a lot more connections to the group and to each other, and that kind of made things seem interesting. So I just thought I'd share that.
Oh, I like that. That's a really useful view. Thank you.
Very artistic as well.
Yeah, that was not on purpose. It just sort of happened.
And if you
Very
use
cool.
the filter in the bottom right hand, the collab or the where you could identify collaboration or generative, you could probably make that even a little bit cleaner look. That was very cool, Gabe. Thank you. So one of the projects that we are stepping into in 2025 will be purposely focused on the development of this map. So we're looking for individuals who would be interested in joining those projects. They'll be short sprint projects, like 6 to 8 weeks, where we say, okay, we're going to work on a specific focus of the map, and that there's more individuals who are collaborative. So watch out for that. If you're interested in partaking in a project of that nature, I'd be excited to have you be a part of it. So I'm not going to break us out unless somebody says let's do. So instead, this is open for us to get to know each other. So I'm curious if how you want to do that. I'm not talking. I'm going to let you guys talk during this part of the time together.
So we just go around and have people introduce themselves and talk about what their favorite project is right now.
Yeah, that sounds good. And Marlene, I saw you come off mute, so I'm going to tag you.
Okay, great. Well, I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving and looking forward to the rest of the holiday season. So what I've been working on that's new is I've just completed the IHI Creating Joy in the Workplace program. And so that has been wonderful and very meaningful. And I think that, there's a Maureen, I forget her last name, but she had some information with asking certain questions. So just really the art of questioning is a great foundation of that, and talking to patients about what matters to you. I think those are just some key insights, and she would be a good person to get connected. And I think I mentioned that to her, and so we'll see, but I think she'd be a great person for us to collaborate with on a lot of the work that we're doing. So anyways, that's new and exciting, and I'm looking forward to that. And it really fits in with a lot of the work that we're doing. It relies on the burnout piece, patient experience, all of it. So
Excellent.
Thank you. Great.
I've known of their program, Marlene, but I haven't explored it and of course jumped into it. So I'm glad you have. Jennifer says her mic has stopped working. Shoot. Dan, I'll tag you next.
Sure. Thank you, Denise. I'm not really working on anything specific new, just a little bit my background. I think most people know I'm radiologist, third generation physician. My, just like everybody else in the group, looking for opportunities to network and collaborate to improve, the function of healthcare. My personal opinion that is that there's absolutely nothing wrong with the practice of clinical medicine, and that the dysfunction is entirely on the business side of healthcare and how that impacts the delivery of healthcare and the practice of clinical medicine. So, my focus is primarily on business solutions, primarily ownership and leadership. I'm a strong believer in physician ownership and employee ownership models and the benefits that come with those. So I'm a big advocate for that. Um, After I transitioned from radiology to non-clinical work, I've been involved in utilization management. Obviously, that's a huge pain point. And, as reflected in recent events with, prior authorization in the insurance industry. So definitely looking for ways to improve that. And then I'm also involved with Healthcare Shares, which is a startup that works with healthcare startup entrepreneurs to raise capital directly from angel investors, primarily physicians. And my personal goal in that is increasing physician engagement in all aspects of the healthcare industry, including healthcare startups, because my experience, whether it's a startup or it's a large corporation, they're all supported by investors and investment capital, and the investment capital structure and the goals, the objectives are primarily short term and maximizing profit. And you see with that, these leadership cycles that are typically centered around 3 to 5 years. And I think all of those things that I've described are basically combined together to create a lot of the dysfunction. So I'm definitely looking for opportunities like Healthcare Shares and taking those kind of principles and trying to reverse physicians as employees to physicians as owners and entrepreneurs.
Wow, Dan. Jennifer, is your mic working? I can't talk, but I can type. Okay, we'll let you type then. Dawn, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, Dawn Ellison. I am a clinically retired emergency medicine physician. I have been coaching physicians since 2008, and I have been doing that on the side of my emergency medicine practice for a number of years, as well as I had an opportunity from 2016 to 2021 to lead engagement and well-being for a large healthcare organization, which was an incredible opportunity to develop some of my tools that I had been using with coaching into tools that could be used with work units. And now I'm excited to be involved with HRC. And we're just thrilled that we're a real company now, and we're ready to kick off our engagement on the platform, and excited that you all keep showing up. And we're really pleased that you're going to be involved in this with us. So thank you.
I have a question for Dawn. In your experience, so I worked with a career coach when I transitioned from clinical to non-clinical work, and great experience. She was a retired dermatologist, and I'm a huge advocate for coaching and the benefits of it. Her experience was that through coaching, about 80% of physicians end up staying within clinical practice, that only 20% transition. And of those 80%, the vast majority make changes to their clinical practice or, whatever changes so that they can continue practicing clinical medicine. And I'm curious, my personal opinion, as you know, is that as physicians have increasingly become employees and are, responsible in at least a significant component to, executive business leaders that are motivated entirely by profit, how does that relate to, their willingness to? Because I mean, my belief is that healthcare and the practice of clinical medicine would be significantly improved with more physicians as owners and entrepreneurs, but are physicians collectively willing to take on, that role? And what can be done to better support them and to facilitate that, so that they'd be willing to take on, the risks and responsibilities that come with that?
So I would say I'm not sure I agree with your underlying assumption, because I think that there's sort of a middle ground there, that physicians can have ownership of decisions within an employed situation if leadership is doing that well. too often, when decisions are made in an employed situation, there's middle management that is supposed to get buy-in, and I hate that phrase, right? They're supposed to get buy-in from the people on the front lines for some strategy, some decision that's been made above them. And I think we've got to stop doing that. And we've got to have a better way of making decisions that are informed by the perspectives that matter. And the perspectives that matter aren't only on the front line. If an organization is going to survive, we need to understand the financial perspectives as well. But I think we can have ownership in the decisions if you do that well, like with fair process or something called generative decision making, which is a consent-based process, and just being very intentional, clear, transparent about who's making what decision and how.
Yeah, and I do completely agree with you about that. It's just that I don't, without changing the ownership structure, I don't see how you can, change the leadership. And, having said that, the current ownership, with the vast majority of healthcare controlled by, several large corporations, including United Healthcare, how do you change? How are you going to be able to change that leadership mentality? I mean, I'm very, skeptical, that you can create meaningful change in an organization like that. So
yeah, I'm skeptical too. The organization where I was leading engagement and well-being, one of the physician VPs and I were going around and teaching FAIR process, which is a consultative decision-making process. So, but it would take a lot to change. You're right, leadership. But I want to make sure we get to Jennifer because Jennifer wrote, I'm working on the newsletter for HRC. I'm excited about getting the word out and the content we're planning on sharing. I'm a freelance instructional designer and technical writer, currently working with HRC and other organizations with communications projects. I'm finding my way, and we are so appreciative that Jennifer is with us.
And yes, so Jennifer and I have talked about what she's doing. So she's been focused on helping organizations with HIPAA, but she's making a shift and really wanting to work in the space of creating instructional materials for patients. I'm watching her to see if I'm saying that correctly. But Marlene, I'm thinking that you and Jennifer would probably have a really interesting conversation because of your background as well. I was telling Jennifer that so many who work with patient experience are often also connected with the education teams for healthcare. And so you might have some insight for her as she's looking at shifting her focus and her efforts. But she's fabulous with instructional design and I think has great value there.
And somebody who has really found a niche with respect to communication in the healthcare sphere is your local epidemiologist, Jennifer. I don't know if you're familiar with her. She hit the I think it was Media is her platform, I forget, with explanations of what's going on with COVID, right, during the pandemic. And she just blew off the charts in terms of being, somebody that people had coming to their mailbox. And she ended up going to the White House with her. I mean, she just flew off the charts in terms of her impact with her communications about, the epidemiology, infectious disease aspects of COVID. It was pretty cool. So yeah, look her up, your local epidemiologist. She's really inspiring. Now she's got other people working for her and writing some of her, I think, weekly, or I'm not sure how often I get those anymore, blogs.
So I think you all know me, Denise Wiseman. We've been working on creating HRC for over a year now, and this past year has really been our opportunity to and kind of lean in. This is what we're thinking about doing, and what are we hearing from people? And so many members of our digital community have given us insights to what could be of value. And so being able to define what it is HRC is going to do has been a lot of fun this year, and we're really excited about what 2025 is going to bring. So I don't know if you saw on the platform in October, we did open up what's called a public space. So we have a free section of the platform for people to come into. It's just a narrow piece of, all of you are part of what we're calling the network member space, and there will be other spaces coming too. But we'll have a variety of different events that are member-only events starting this year. This is one of them, the MAPS event. So members, we'll actually have everybody on the map, but we'll be filtering specifically to members and adding the greatest value to those who are members of HRC. But we're going to have January 21st will be our first ever Shine a Light event. And that's where we're going to be able to ask or let people have 10 minutes where they can say what it is they're doing. They can give a little bit of a preview of what is it that I'm doing, but they're also, Marlene, to what you were asking, what we're wanting them to do is what are you looking for from those in the community? What are you seeking and what can you give? So there's that opportunity for them to not just share what it is they're doing, but it's that reciprocal, what might you need help from with members of the community and what could you give back? And so we have four individuals that we've offered the first mic to, but we'll have a form on the platform that people can sign up. Hey, I want time on the next one, and here's what I'm currently doing. So watch for that. We will also have a couple of other different events that are member only starting a little bit later this year, but you'll see that we did post an event January 7th. Every quarter, we will be giving an update about what HRC is doing because our intent is to be very low hierarchical structure. We want the community to be guiding what we're doing. So watch for that as well. We're really excited about what's coming down the pipeline here. Yeah, Marlene.
You just stimulated a thought, and one of the a great event could be change maker success stories. Just so we can hear things that are actually happening in our health community. I think that just gives more motivation and encouragement, and a lot we can learn from them. What did it take to make this initiative happen? What were some of the barriers you had to work through? I think of like Susie Carter and
Rick Mountcastle.
They're making great headway, it seems. So
yeah. And that's all part of illuminating, which is one of our core things that we're wanting to do. So I think that's a really good point, Marlene. Thank you. Dawn, you were going to say something.
Well, I was just going to say that we will be having an event that is getting back to Susie and Rick and their project coming up in February. So stay tuned for that one.
I'm so glad you guys joined us today. Thank you. Your feedback on the map is exceptionally valuable. So watch each of these each month as we do these. If you join us, you're going to see how your feedback is integrated into the map. And we're really looking forward to what this can become. And again, if you're interested in being part of that project, I would love to talk with you about that. So let me know. Just ping me.
Really good feedback. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Excellent.
It's great work. Really is.
Thank you. It's a lot of fun. It's exciting.
Cool.
All right. Well, I'll stay until faces are gone. But if you have something else you want to contribute, discuss, I'm here.